This guy. Hey! Hey! Buddy! I don't mean to be rude, but this is my place. Anyway, hello everybody. The Trapbox Gamer, welcome back to Minecraft. Why my place? There is literally so many other places. And I know I didn't take his bed. I'm positive I didn't take his bed. I'm positive I didn't take his bed. I'm 90% positive I didn't. Which is saying a lot. Anyway, yeah, I'm pretty sure we're still... there. I'm just taking back that he popped up and took my bed from last time. Like, what was that? What was that? He wasn't there the last couple nights. Well, then again, how many times do... I hate it when I do that. I hate it when I do that. Add the insult to the injury, why don't you? You cursed thing. Anyway, last time I was talking about my cleric character that spin off to my artificer that I started talking about my made-up weapons that probably... They either A, exist, or B, they're broken. Which... I'm gonna get into the time that I DM'd for my friends, and I gave them the most broken stuff that I could think of. Granted, one, I kinda got off from Reddit, not gonna lie. Not gonna take credit that, oh, I came up with this idea all by myself. No, I got inspired by Reddit. This was, something I saw, so I thought, that'd be cool to have in my game. Now, being a first-time DM, I learned a few things. One, I suck at describing things. I think that's just like my own personal problem. My friends, they still enjoy themselves, so that's all that mattered, but I really hated... Well, I hate how that happened. But I really hated how I couldn't really describe things as well as my other friend who was... Okay, to be fair, he's been a DM for years. He's, like, an expert at it. So, comparing me to him is like comparing a pyramid to a sandcastle. Both could do nicely, but one is more impressive than the other. I'm only glad that they had fun. And that is my coping mechanism. Anyway, during this campaign, I had an idea. I think I might have mentioned this before. Maybe I did briefly. No, I didn't mention this before for Minecraft. I mentioned this before during a different segment, but I get to talk about it more here, so that's good, that's good. So, when I was DMing, I had this fun idea to make this NPC that was secretly a chaotic god. Now, I didn't want to bring this up with my friends because, one, they know D&D too well. They would have seen the signs on who I was using. They would have figured it out instantly, and the surprise would have been all but gone. All but gone, you know. So I was like, nah. I'm going to try to look on the internet for inspiration. Which, yeah, I kind of went with that. It's just I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure the lore of D&D, which is why I say that. I was kind of skeptical about the options given to me. Granted, I do recognize some names because, well, Greek mythology, one was Eris, but we weren't in the Greek pantheon, so that wasn't going to work. One was Peter Pan, which I was a little confused on because the only Peter Pan I know was from Disney, and I was like, I don't know how to do with this. The thing is, by the time that I was about to start DMing, I was like, okay, I need to get these names, like, set up here and now, because if I don't, I'm going to forget about it when this NPC pops up. So, in my all brilliance, in my all originality, I came up with, I didn't really, look, I'm just going to tell you what I did with Peter Pan. I reversed the name, so instead of it being Peter Pan, it was Nap Retep, or just Retep, and I was like, this is so stupid. This is so stupid. Of all the names, like, this, I feel, is very, like, I hate it. I hate it. I hope that, because it's so stupid, nobody calls me out on it. I hope nobody notices. I hope nobody, like, puts it together that, okay, it's Peter Pan, it's a chaos god, apparently. That's what I got from Reddit. It was like, okay, we're going with this. Anyway, this character, he was a carnival con man. He didn't take payment in forms of money, he would take payment in forms of something else. What that something else would have been different for the players, depending on what happens. I was really hoping that they would... I was really hoping that they were more into the gambling part, because I had some nasty things planned for them. Lorenzo, if you're listening, I had something very mean planned for you, specifically. And I hate that nobody went with the betting dude, because honestly, on one hand, I think I kind of oversold it. I think I made him just a little too iffy for them to completely trust. And also, first time that they met him, they already got like a lot of cool stuff, a lot of broken stuff. So maybe they just didn't feel the need to go back to him. There was... What should I start with first? Should I start with the most broken stuff, or should I start with, like, my favorite thing? I think I'm gonna say my favorite thing. You're still in my bed! Get out! Why my bed? Don't me, buddy. It's my bed. Huh. My bed. There's other beds. Go to the other beds. This is my area. Do you see a fully made house here? Huh? No. You have a fully made house somewhere. You have places with beds. So go to said bed. On a related note, my little sister taught me a new term called crashing out. The second that she told me about it, I swear I've noticed that term pop up more than I would like to notice, and I just have to say, am I in the Matrix? Am I in the Matrix? I learned the first word, now it's starting to pop up. Oi. Anyway. What should I... You know what? I'm gonna say what my least favorite thing is. Even though I think I put more thought into it than I should. And that was called the Tentacle Tides. The Tentacle Tide was this sentient whip that took the form of an octopus tentacle. It acted as a whip, but as a bonus action, you could make it grab people and grapple them from a distance. I think I gave it a distance of... What was the distance for a whip? I think I made it the same as a whip. Let me check it out, because a part of me wants to say 15 feet. But another part of me says, that sounds a little too much. So, hold on. I also, since I kind of felt like there was, not enough for said whip, I really thought I should add to it. Because, one, it doesn't do that much damage. It's a D4 damage. I think I upped it a bit, like a D6 damage, maybe. So, outside of it being a weapon, it was also a utility, item that acted as a rope. Like a sentient rope, that it will stretch and grab something above you 50 feet like a normal rope. And that was why I added... Oh, it's 10 feet. Maybe I gave it 15 feet for grapples and 50 for, rope stuff. To be honest, this one was not that well thought of. I gave it to Lorenzo, who, honestly, I thought was going to use it more, but not really. So I was like, yeah, I kind of wish he used it more. It's just, I also didn't really care too much if he used it or not. It was like, it was the last of the items I was making. It didn't really receive the much love. it's like I needed an item for every character, and you were that item that just like kind of got so everyone had a little something something. You know what I mean? Just like a little something something, so that everyone got their item. The second one was the Echo Gloves, which this is where I start. Like, this kind of got me going where I was like, I'm running out of ideas. I had like a couple arguably good ideas. The rest, not so much. But these were called the Echo Gauntlets, which gave the Echo Fighter ability. Like, you had a charge to bring up an Echo version of you to pop in and fight. And I didn't think anyone was an Echo Fighter in the group, but somebody was. So I gave their, like, class feature to somebody, forgetting that they were that feature. It's like, I think Anna was the Echo Fighter. Oh, she was she was something. I didn't remember that was her thing or that was not her thing. Somebody was an Echo Fighter, and it's like, oh, I just kind of made their class a little weapon. I felt kind of bad. That got used pretty well though. Like a lot, I remember it getting used pretty much. Not every battle, but a good chunk of times, more than I thought it was. So I'm glad that got used. Now, I didn't just make weapons, I decided that I'm gonna do my own kind of potion thing too. I also wanted to make it where some of these items weren't entirely helpful. I had to add to it, like I had to add like something that's a little problematic, a little chaos, because you know this guy was supposed to be the god of chaos and pranks or something like that. I forgot what my initial role for him was, but that was the key thing, is that not everything was going to be useful for him or for them. Hence the potion that I like to dub the Midas Magnetism. See, if you get this potion, if you drink this potion, you have an effect on gold coins. You attract gold coins from a certain amount of distance. They will go to you. The thing is, this potion wouldn't specify on what type of gold coins that would be attached to you. For instance, you could say, oh, you walk by some high grass, you get some gold coins that were once lost, they're now yours, free to take. But say you walk by a shop, and someone's paying for something, their gold coins are going to float to you. Now, I wasn't going to be too cruel. I was going to give the player an option to, like, not let this happen, like, to kind of control this magnetism if they pass a con save. You pass a con save, you feel the pull of something, but you're now more in control, was what it was going to, like, if they didn't know what it was at the time, that's what the description was going to be, but if they figured out what it was, they're going to be like, you feel the weight of a coin somewhere in the tall grass. You feel you could easily pull it to you. And that'll be like the indicator that, okay, they figured it out, they get the coin for free, now they know what the potion does. But they never drank the potion. And I hated it because I wanted to cause some more chaos, but they just never drank the potion. I was like, well, I can't force the chaos. I could only do so much. Now, while the potion was a mystery for all of them, especially for the person that had it, there was one item that my friend looked at me and said, I know what this is, because I did not hide it at all. I did not hide. The subtlety went out the window because I couldn't think of a way to make it subtle. I just want something cool. So one of the prizes that they could win was something that I dubbed the Chaos Grenades. The Chaos Grenades, I told them, they look like D20s. They look like D20s. What you roll will determine the effect. And I had to come up with several effects because I was going to say that anything below 10 is not going to be helpful. Anything above 10 will be more beneficial. But if you score a nat 1 or a nat 20, the results are going to be extreme. For the nat 1, I didn't want to be too mean. I think that's my problem with DMing, was I was too nice. To the point where I think Anna was all like, hit me! Hit me! You're too nice, be mean! And you know what, at some points I did try to be more mean, so yeah. The nat 1 originally was gonna be instant death, but I was like, that's too much, especially for this. That feels like too much. So I'm gonna say it's going to be, you're knocked prone, you're also taking like force damage as if you got hit by a grenade. That way I feel like it's more fair, but not too soft. The nat 20, however, was instant win. It was instant win. And honestly, the friend who got it, the guy that got it, the player who's had this in his possession, he did not use these for the majority of the campaign, which, again, I figured he was saving them for the big bad guy. It's just, they came in a pack of 20s. So I was kind of hoping that he experiment throughout the game, just slightly. But he didn't. So when the big bad guy came, which I have a little story about the big bad of this campaign. When he came, my friend, he decided to say, I'm gonna hit him with every grenade I had. And the only reason why I agreed to this is because I figured that the ruling should be you can only throw one at a time. We were at the end of the campaign. The set, like, it was getting late. I was like, you may roll them out. He rolled a lot of them. I think he rolled a nat 1 for one of them, but he ended up rolling a nat 20. And it was an instant win. Granted, they were already kind of beating this boss, but he rolled, like, I figured, I just want to see this. I just want to see this play out, just like for a little bit, because I want to see it in play. I really wanted to see something cool. But if you thought that item was broken, oh no, I got worse. There was this other item that was called a Wand of Spell Change. Now, the rule for this item is that you could take away a word, you could take away a letter, add a letter, or move a letter in a spell, and it'll alter that spell based on what you spell out. So, think of Cause Fear. Instead of Cause Fear, say the character, the player, said Cause Bear. Now, this item, I say, I was more grounding with the rules I was given. Rule number 1 was it had to be a spell that you knew. Rule 2 was that it had to be a real word. You can't just make up a random word and expect the effect. Like, it had to be a real word. If I didn't know the word, which honestly, that was a great possibility. If I don't know the word, you have to at least show me the word to prove that it's a word, and then like give me a definition so I can work with what the effect does. Because 9 times out of 10, I think I was the one that told what the effect did. I think the one time that I took a backpedal to that was when the player had an idea of what he wanted the spell to look like. I was like, go for it. The third rule, I believe, is that it only has 3 charges. You could do it 3 times. I think I was still being a little too nice. I said you could regain it on either, I want to say probably a short rest. That feels like something I would have said. Because again, I really wanted the player to use a cool item. A bit too cool and a bit too OP, but I still wanted them to have fun with it. So, yeah. And oh boy, did this player have fun with this item. He loved this item. The other players, they didn't really use their items that much, but he did. He did, and I cannot blame him. I was happy that he was using it. Some might say, okay, he's getting a little too powerful. This is a little too much. I say, nah, I like this. This is my intent. I want to see some crazy stuff going on. So, that was that item. Another item was actually a companion that you were able to get, and this companion was actually made for a different player, but another player got the companion, and I was like, oh, well, I can't micromanage that. That's just how the game rolls. But this companion was made for, I believe I made it for Anna. It was a tiny little robot. Not a tiny little robot. It was like a tiny little stone golem. Like a little rock golem for the player. And the reason why I wanted Anna to have it is because I figured that she would like a little cute companion. And she did. It's just the other player, he won it fair and square. So it's like, that's just how it works. I mean, everyone fell in love with this little guy. Like, they absolutely love this little guy. I was happy that they loved this guy, because I was like really hoping that they didn't hate him or see him as cannon fodder, which honestly, arguably you could have used him as cannon fodder. He had very low HP, but he would always have the ability to pop back after a certain amount of time. Unless he was completely destroyed. But the chances of that actually happening were kind of low. Like, I didn't want to make it where, okay, he's kind of tiny, he's easily, breakable, destroyable, or something like that. Like, I didn't want him to be, like, useless. So I had it where your little companion here has, I believe it's called Tremor Sense. He can feel things that are on the ground. He cannot speak, but he will let you know when there's issues coming down for blow, which, honestly, I added that because I was planning an encounter for them later on in their campaign, where they would be fighting a custom-made enemy. I kind of whipped together just for fun. And I didn't want to completely crush them, so what I did was I had it where this guy was an option that they could get, so that when they later get to this fight, they wouldn't be completely, unfairly disadvantaged. Which, okay, even if they didn't have their little rock golem as their aid, they figured out what the creatures could do, and they had an alternative to get past it without issue. So even if they didn't have our little rock golem friend, they still would have managed without, easily. Which kind of sucks, because I made these, big, it was... Let me see if I still have it somewhere. Hold on, I probably have it in a file somewhere, because I remember I'd save it. Did I put it in pictures, or did I put it in pictures? And the name of this enemy, which I don't think anybody really got to hear, because they kind of blew past it, and there was just no natural way for me to, implement the name. But the name was supposed to be a pun on what the creature was supposed to look like. The name was, it's a snake. Which, if you say it slow enough, it's a snake, which was what the creature was. Just a giant rock snake. Now, I was very new to making stuff, so I didn't know what was fair, I didn't know what would be challenging, so I was like, I don't know if this is going too far, or this is just going right enough. But it was supposed to be like a pretty beefy boss fight. But by the time that the characters got to it, they were already kind of up there with level, so I was like, yeah, you know what, it's not going to be just a one fight, it's going to be like a swarm of these things, like a little, because naturally snakes do have their, a swarm of snakes. That's what I was thinking. But they got past it with this very, very clever way, because they had this, I think, flying disc. And they said that because the creatures could only figure out where they were through vibrations, which was the hint I gave through some throwaway enemy NPCs, they figured that as long as they weren't touching the ground, they could get past this place, without issue. And it was at that moment that I thought, I gotta roll with the punches here too, because I'm not gonna let these guys get through everything outsmarting me. So I had this one dude at the back end of the cave that they were in, finding the artifact they needed for the main quest. I had this one dude hold out a staff. This staff made the snakes go in a frenzy and attack whoever this guy basically ordered it to attack. So they had an encounter with him, the fight popped up, and now they had to fight at least. I always do a roll for it. I don't want to be too mean, as you could probably tell. I did a roll for it, and I rolled pretty low. I think it would give him like 2 snakes. Granted, these things are gargantuan snakes, but these guys are also pretty beefy with their attack, so it's like, I felt like 2 would have been a fair fight, fair enough. Looking back at it, I feel that now that I've played more games and I seen more bosses, maybe I could have been more optimized with this boss other than just like making it like a meat shield basically, because it wasn't that heavy on its attacks. It just had a lot of HP, or at least a lot for your usual encounter. I think the HP, if I look up, it said it had 200 HP. Which, for a boss, okay, that feels kind of standard. Especially if it were a big boss. This was supposed to be a gargantuan monstrosity. So, I feel like that would fit for the HP. Now, the legendary action that I gave it wasn't supposed to really be a hurtful one, it just disadvantages the players. So, the one legendary item I gave him was called Coil. Basically, what it does is that the giant snakes circles around the party, ensuring that no one could disengage or run away, and keep them like within his grasp, in his attack reach, However, damaging the snake causes it to retreat for a brief moment, but it will come back. And I like that as a concept. I just wish I had more time to implement it just slightly better. Because I hate to say it, but at this point in the campaign, well, I always had a backup plan in case something unexpected happens. My friend, our old DM, he was kind of right on one little aspect. So, one encounter had the big bad guy fight them, which in this game was a dragon. Yeah, Dungeons and Dragons. But, the thing is, I was planning on the dragon to fight for a bit, run away, and be a constant threat throughout the majority of the campaign. They killed them in this encounter. They killed the main bad guy in this encounter, and I had to work out more time for the campaign because I was not yet, my time was not yet done, so I had a few more weeks, and they had nothing else planned, so I had to keep it going somehow. So I had this plan in case this were to happen. It took me back, and I wasn't too prepared for it to happen this quickly. But they did make an enemy that survived an encounter, so I made it where he was collecting a bunch of artifacts, hence why they had to go and fight those giant snakes, to resurrect said dragon. To basically resurrect said dragon. The reasoning I didn't get too far into because it was kind of on top of my head, but basically so that he could be ruler of the world. It was, you have a dragon, you're definitely going to be the ruler, but it didn't get thought out that well because it kind of happened on the spot, but I was somewhat prepared for it. Not completely, but somewhat, I will argue that, but my friend was right. It did take me by surprise. Definitely did. I do love how this dragon got defeated, though. The player with the wish change wand. He got a thing of cause bear and had bears beat up a dragon. With that being said, we're gonna call it here. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you next time. Take care. Please like and subscribe, and have a great day.